let's dive into alphabet soup. Help.
Help. Oh my God.
Oh, Greggles.
Shrine.
What a man. Yep. Okay, you want me to dive into it right away?
Yeah, let's do alphabet soup is next. Let's do it.
Alphabet soup.
Okay, here we go. A corrupt modern implicit fallacy from ethos. Now, ethos we established is cultural understanding, correct?
I believe, yeah. And then logos was the like divine.
Yep. Okay, so this is from like a cultural, like a almost like a peer pressure kind of thing, but from cultural understanding, in which a person inappropriately overuses acronyms, abbreviations, form numbers, and arcane insider. Oh gosh, shop talk. Oh my gosh, yes, I'm already hitting this one. Primarily to prove to an audience that he or she speaks their language and is one of them, and to shout out, confuse, or impress outsiders. Example, it's not uncommon for a K-12 with ASD to be both GT and LD. Another example, I had a 20-minute DX so on 15 with a sped S1 and a couple of LU2s, even though the QR Nancy was 10 over S9, or quote, I hope I'll keep on seeing my BAQ on my LES until the day I get my DD 214. He also name calling. This fallacy has recently become common in media, pharmaceutical advertising in the United States, where alphabet soup is used to create the false identification with and to exploit patient groups suffering from specific illnesses or conditions. Example, if you have DPC with associated ZL, you can keep your B2D under control with luglugmena. Ask your doctor today about luglugmena, helium tetracarbide lozenges to control symptoms of ZL and keep your B2D under the crucial 7.62 threshold. Side effects of luglugmena may include K4 syndrome, which may lead to lycanthropic bicephaly, BMJ, and occasionally death. Do not take luglugmena if you are allergic to dog bite or have type D Flinders garbosis.
Okay, I'm not
What's the word? What's the thing?
I'm not oh God, dyslexic, but holy shit, I thought that made me feel dyslexic trying to reach that. That was insane.
Yeah, imagine me actually reading that when I read.
Oh, I know. You probably were like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Oh, for sure. I'm like, well, that's the fallacy. There's another one that we're going to get to called I think this falls under that one. It's called big brain little brain fallacy, where it's like if it seems that I am not smart enough to understand something, therefore whoever is giving me the information that I don't understand must be smarter than me, and therefore it's true. So alphabet soup is a subset of that, and it's specifically with like acronyms or just simple like language that they could have just nicely not used the acronym form of it, but instead they did. And yeah, I think this one is fun. I think do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like I see there's an example in my past that is like the most hardcore example of this. I was working for a consumer packaged goods company a while back, and I remember working in this department that was a dying department. It had no real like utility or function really, and so a way that this department maintained its relevancy or its relevance in the company was by hardcore alphabet souping all over the place, because it was like, oh, if we sound like we know all these things, And even if we invent terms that people don't know, that we will maintain our relevance in the organization. And so it was such a, it was so painful because it was like these people would defend this fallacy in this particular company, in this particular department in that company. They would defend this fallacy with their lives because it was like, it was because there was a fear inside of this department that if they didn't sound like they were relevant, then they would be fired. And so it was amazing to see that happen in that space and in that company where you were literally, if you used the most alphabet soup, it was like, oh, this person is valuable. So it was amazing to see it in that space. But for myself, in my own usage, I noticed a bit where it's like, you can say it said to say some things to impress outsiders, but I think that this can be used like in a positive application, in the sense of like, where it's like, if you're wanting to let a group know that you care about them or that you like acknowledge them, to me, like an example that I think can be really beneficial is like with using inclusive language. So it's like, as an example, if I were to, while speaking, share an example of an individual, and when I go to address their pronoun, instead of me saying he or she, I say he, she, or they. It's like, I think what that does, it seems to fall similar to this. It's like, I'm saying something that like lets someone know that I'm thinking about them, or I'm in with their language. But I think if it's done sparingly, then it actually can be really positive to let a group know, hey, just so you know, I am paying attention to you too. I'm not just sitting on my own value systems, kind of a thing.
For sure, because the opposite would make it seem that you were out of touch if you only use like binary language with them.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, I see it's like this one, I think it's the first one that we've read that I'm like, I see that there's possible, I think there's a line of where this can be beneficial, but also can be, obviously really, really awful.
Yeah. So, and you will feel more of this later on, that much later on, especially when we get to argumentum ad mysterium. That'll be a while from now. But yes, if something is fallacious, it doesn't mean that it is good or bad. It just means that it lacks merit.
Yeah.
So just because for example, all of the lingo that's part of the LGBT community, doesn't mean you're necessarily an activist. Right. And so because of that, you could say, oh, well, I'm able to relate to them better, and that's good. Or that could be used to manipulate someone. If they think that you're part of them, but you're actually against their interests, but you just happen to use their lingo, you could trick them into supporting you if you happen to be against their rights. So, yeah. So, that's the interesting thing about logic, is that logic exists without humans, in the same way that mathematics does too. That these are just concepts that we have essentially discovered, and their logic is without emotion. So there is no good or bad. It's just without merit.
Got it.
Yeah. So it is okay to use some of these. It's just, you should be honest in using it.
Totally get it.
Mm.
That'd be interesting. Like right before you do something like that, you say, hey, I'm going to use a little bit of alphabet soup here. And it's like, nobody would really know what that is, except maybe the couple of people.
That's funny that you would use alphabet soup, and that's using alphabet soup, because they don't. Yeah. They wouldn't recognize the fallacy.
Yeah,
that's fine. Right, and they might, and they can Google it for themselves, and they can know. So I think it's great to acknowledge it. When I was first learning these, I would call out fallacies as I saw them, um, and I would just like name drop the fallacy. But I learned very quickly that that's not super productive because whoever's listening doesn't know the fallacy. So
Right.
if I'm saying argument from ignorance, the other person thinks I'm just calling them stupid, and I'm not. That's the name of a fallacy. That doesn't necessarily mean they're stupid. So,
which in a sense, then you're applying alphabet soup in that situation because you're using something that they don't understand.
Oh, that's so wild.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if I'm ever to address a fallacy, it is important to like summarize. Hey, I'm going to use some alphabet soup here. Alphabet soup is when you do this.
Yeah.
Then I do the thing. So very cool. Yeah, I think that one's fun.